Oh, that was too funny. I'd love to play that video again and again. Hey, everyone, Robert Imbriali here with you today. Lewis, as you know, is on the road, but he promised he will join us if he can. And it may just be via audio today, but certainly, he'll not be driving and trying to do the show at the same time. What a show yesterday. A lot of comments. You guys really appreciated that. We have a little bit more on the border today, a few stories that have come up that we're going to share with you here. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. I was looking at the news this morning, trying to figure out, what do I want to do? How do I want to bring this show to you? What do I want to talk about? And boy, there's stuff popping in every direction. Why? Well, what happens tomorrow? Anybody know what happens tomorrow? Oh, Congress goes where now? They go on Christmas vacation. So guess what? They're jamming everything through. All the work that they didn't do when they were there and had time and could have debates and all the rest of that kind of thing and really get into the meat of issues, they jam it through at the last minute. So people don't even read it. They're just like, oh, well, whatever, I got to go. I want to go home. I want to get on my Christmas break. And they do that and off they go. And that's that. And we're seeing a lot of stuff coming through today. A lot of stuff is popping, and it's just worth talking about some of it because it impacts us all, right? And the leaders that we entrust with the power to make the right decisions for us, the people that we expect are looking out for our best interests, don't think that's happening. Forgive me for being a little bit of a downer here, but I don't think that's happening. I think they're just looking out for their own interests at this point. But it kind of always is that way, isn't it? It's not a government for the people anymore in the way that it was planned to be. There was a thought of in the Constitution. When people talk a lot about the Constitution, they say, well, no, it's a Constitution. What is it about? Is it really important? Should it be changed? Should it be updated? And I'm going to tell you one story I heard that the fathers who wrote the Constitution, the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution, they at that time knew that they could not live up to it. What? It was aspirational. It was, in other words, they were looking at it and saying, if we were to build the perfect country with the perfect government, what would it look like? And that's really the inspiration. That's where that came from. So it is done from a higher level, and it's a document that we really need to pay more attention to, and certainly we need to follow it. And we're not anymore for the most part. I would imagine that most of the laws that are being passed these days, a vast majority are unconstitutional. Would you agree? I think they are. And here's the question. It's like, okay, so what do we do? If we've got all these laws in the books now that are not constitutional, what do we do going forward? We can battle them, right? In court. That takes time. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but we got to keep chipping away at it. And one of the challenges that we have is something called the Patriot Act, one of the many things that stripped all our rights away after 9/11. So you look at 9/11, you go, wow, what happened during 9/11? Well, 9/11, they didn't let that crisis go to waste, right? They came up and they had this Patriot Act, bang, within weeks. And everybody signed it. Nobody said anything. Why? Because everyone was in fear. And what do they tell you about people who are in fear? They can be manipulated and made to do things they would not normally do. The higher the fear, the easier it is to manipulate. And what do you think happened? It happened. Signed the Patriot Act. Okay, good. We're all good with it. And it just keeps getting reauthorized and reauthorized and reauthorized. 24 years later, think maybe we ought to review that document? You think maybe we should repeal it? No, not going to happen. Why? Because they're not about giving us our rights back. They never have been. They're about taking them away. And you think about a politician. A typical politician is what? What do they call themselves? Lawmakers. They go up there to create new laws. That's what they do. That's their job. So we have so many laws on the books that some people have said that the truth is every single day, every one of us is breaking federal laws we don't even know exist. And of course, then they tell you if they were to take you down on one of those laws, they would say, well, ignorance is no defense. I'm like, really? Do I have the rest of my life to read all these laws to make sure I'm not breaking anything? And read them, one thing. Understand them, something totally different, right? It's all legalese. So we live in interesting times. I think all of us are coming together now. We're starting to push back on a lot of it. We're starting to see that in the news. It's bubbling up. If you could see it in your neighborhoods, you could see more and more people kind of like eyes are starting to open. They may not be fully open yet, but they're starting to open a little bit. And they're starting to go, things aren't right. I don't know what's going on. Things are just not right. Rob, what's going on? And I wish I had the time. I wish I had the voice to deliver the entire sermon to every person individually. It just doesn't happen, right? So we have this format, this platform, to be able to do that. And, we do it the best we can. Lewis and I are very committed to making sure we bring you the best possible content and sort of the analysis that maybe you're not getting all the time in mainstream media. However, it's starting to change, right? If we see that with Tucker Carlson, we talked about him yesterday, turning the corner. He was indoctrinated. In 2003, he was fully on board the other side, worked for CNN. Today, he's very much on our side, very much understanding all of that stuff. His narrative is a lie. So there's hope. And I like to see that kind of a story because it lets me know that you don't have to be born into this to understand what's going on. You can actually change your mind. Ooh, wow, what a concept. Change your mind. You can do it. They can do it. We can do it too, right? We can learn from it. And I like that clip of Rush Limbaugh. Donald Trump posted that this morning. I thought it was apropos to share that, Donald Trump is more than a candidate. He represents a movement. He represents a message. And doesn't matter if he's not there. Yes, it will be hard. I get that. If he's not there, if that message continues with whoever the next leader is, I mean, gosh, he's in his mid-70s now. You can't imagine him going on for that much longer in the public eye before he retires and says, I'm going to go back on the golf course. But that message is not going to retire. That message will not go away. It will continue. And it will continue through all of us who will keep pushing it because we believe in it. We believe that that's the right way to be. So it's daunting to think, if you're on the other side, for instance, it's daunting to think that you're going to stop. It's an avalanche. It is a tidal wave of people thinking this way now. Make America great again. Lower the taxes, get government out of the way, reduce the legislation, reduce all the laws, right? That's what Trump did. He deregulated a lot of things. And he let the economy kind of bubble up and do what it was supposed to do. And now we're all thinking that way. Hard for them to come along now and try to convince us otherwise. And they're trying. They're doing absolutely everything they can to make that happen. I don't think any of us are budging though. What do you think? You think you're all kind of hanging in there? I think so. But we're gonna push through this. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep going, and we're gonna make sure that message that Donald Trump is really brought to the forefront. ScrewBigGov, if you haven't been there, go over to screwbiggov.com, Lewis's website. Lots of good stuff there. Remember Your Oath, Cages, the documentary. And if you're looking for him on Telegram, the best way to do it is click on that social media link in the bottom right-hand side, and it'll take you right to his Telegram account and his other accounts that he's got as well. And it's always good to know where to find the people you follow. Challenging sometimes out there. There's a lot of fake accounts. I've seen so many of them. Crazy. All right, a lot of Congress stuff today. Right? Why did I tell you that? Because Friday is departure day, right? They're packing their bags and they're getting out of town. They won't be back till sometime in January. Now, these guys got a lot of vacation. I think it was 6 weeks they were off in the summer. All the entire month of August they were off, and they didn't come back till like the second week in September. Interesting. They're more off than on. But okay, that's maybe a good thing for the country that they're not there. Okay, I get it. So Kevin McCarthy, remember him? Oh, sobbing Kevin. Yep. Yeah, the guy that became Speaker of the House, and we thought, well, maybe. He's from California. Maybe that should have been the first clue. Wasn't one of us, right? Clearly. So he gives his final speech today on the House floor. In his farewell address, this is kind of interesting. His farewell address, McCarthy contrasted the diversity of the Democrats with the homogeneity of the Republicans. When he became minority leader, he noted that the Democrats resembled America's diverse fabric, praising the Democrats, while the Republicans seem like a restrictive country club. We keep everybody out. It's actually the opposite. If you really look at it, who are the ones that are less inclusive? Right? Who you don't think like they think, they hate you, and they want to stop you at all costs. Not our side. We don't do that. Excuse me. We're actually more inclusive than the other side is. Look, we don't brag about it. We just are. So he's clearly on the other side. clearly one of these guys, right? So he goes the other way with this, and he showed his true colors today. So I'm not sad to see him gone. I'm not sad at all to see him gone. But here we are. We have now a new guy, and he didn't do much better today. Oh boy. I see Lewis trying to log in. I got a little tickle in my throat for some reason at the moment, but that too shall pass. All right. While Lewis is logging in, I'm going to show you the House voting here. This is for the impeachment inquiry.
On this vote, the yeas are 221 and the nays are 212. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
So what do you see? You see, wait a minute. It's not an impeachment. It's an impeachment inquiry. And you see here on the screen, Trump says I got impeached twice, was found not guilty twice. But the Democrats never gave me the benefit or luxury of an impeachment inquiry. Had they done so, I never would have been impeached. They went straight to trial before knowing anything about my complete and total innocence. Witch hunt. It was disgraceful. Biden is lucky to only have an inquiry. And he's as guilty as hell. You see Trump not holding back at all. Lewis, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Let's see.
Hello.
I don't hear Lewis.
Hello.
Is he talking? Is he not talking? It looks like on Zoom he's talking. He's not muted. There's no audio coming through. This is the same issue we had yesterday with someone on the phone. Our guest was on the phone as well. Some reason the audio is not coming through. I have Zoom all the way up as loud as it goes. Interesting.
Click more.
Yeah, Zoom is showing me that he's talking because every time he speaks, I see that going, but I don't see. And there's nothing that I need to do up here because this is just set normal. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. We have a momentary glitch in the focus right. I've got the audio correct. Everything on my side is set up properly. Lewis is driving. I'm going to bug him to maybe log out and try again. I don't know why the audio is not working. Zoom did this yesterday. Zoom's got a little challenge, obviously, because shouldn't be doing this. But alas, it is. Lewis, maybe if you can hear me, maybe try reconnecting. Maybe the audio is going through the car or something where it's not picking up correctly. Yeah. Zoom is showing me he's speaking, but there's no audio coming through. This is really weird. Well, we got it to work yesterday. We will get it to work today. Technical issues. I hate technical issues. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to get Lewis's feedback on this impeachment inquiry. You guys know my feeling on the whole impeachment thing. I don't know that it's going to really go anywhere. It certainly has to go to the Senate next. Even if he got passed over to the Senate, it's not going to pass in the Senate. It has to pass there twice. It has to pass there once to say, okay, we're going to impeach. And then the impeachment trial would actually be held in the Senate, and he would have to lose there before he actually got removed. So really not much of a path forward. I don't get too excited about it. I just look at it and say, okay, great. They're doing their thing. Let's see where it goes. That's just, not going to be fantastic. Let's see here what we can have Lewis do. I'm not sure because he's not muted on here and he's not muted there. So, it's a very interesting issue with Zoom. If you've noticed, we have some tech issues. Been a lot of weird things this week coming up, technology-wise. A lot of strange issues coming through the whole process here. I don't know. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. No, there's nothing on my side that is off. Everything looks normal here, Lewis. I'm not sure why there's no audio coming up. Because you're not muted at all.
Can you hear me now?
All right. Maybe we'll just continue and see if we can get that audio working here. It's really annoying that it's not working.
I just exited. So where did you find
All right.
that?
You guys are patient with us. We appreciate that so much. All right, we'll dig in a little bit further here. There was another vote in the House today. Can you believe another vote happening in Congress? Every day it seems like there's another one. So the Republicans voted to reauthorize the FISA program. The federal court is only supposed to be for international crimes, and yet they're using it against citizens here in this country. And it's a little bit nutty that would happen. Here's Tim Burchett. So there you have it. One of the reasons they don't want to reauthorize this thing, or they were trying not to, is because of the abuse of it. 278,000 times, and the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, was what, $886 billion, almost $1 trillion there for the military, and this was included in it. And they wanted to not have that in there. They wanted to have it separate. They didn't. It was rolled in, and now it got passed today. So it's passed again. Got to run. Got to get home for Christmas. Got to get home for Christmas. Got to do what we got to do. So they went ahead and passed it, and now, now that it's passed, then what do you do now? So it's supposed to be a temporary extension of FISA. We'll see. Because, in government, there's really no such thing as temporary. Temporary is for this week, that's great. And then when it comes up again 3 months, 6 months from now, they'll just reauthorize it. They'll say again that it's temporary, right? Continuing resolutions. We've seen these all the time. Keep raising the debt limit. Keep raising the debt limit. Oh, it's temporary. It's temporary. Won't do it again. And every time it comes up, they do it. It's again and again and again. It's the way it is. Got to pay attention to it, because that is something that we really got to hold their feet to the fire a little bit better than we've been doing. Certainly, calling them kind of helps. I understand that when you call them, although they don't actually listen to your message, the fact that there's a number of messages, the number of messages that come in, that they pay attention to, and they get a feeling for how you're feeling, what your sentiment is on things. So call your congressman, let them know when things are coming up for a vote where you stand on it. Helps a lot, according to what I've been hearing. I don't know, but that's what I've been hearing, that it does help quite a bit. Okay, we can look at this slide here for a moment. This is interesting because it shows you here what is involved in the National Defense Authorization Act. If you look on the first column, is the House's GOP bill. So it's the House wanted to pass. Schumer's bill is what in the middle. That's the items that he wanted. This bill doesn't include any of those. And the NDA compromise that they passed, well, it's kind of interesting. If you look at it, we got one green check. That was it. And we got 2 weeks and one green check. And the week one is protects service members who, all right, that helps. Prohibits critical race theory. We got that. That's good. Creates an inspector general. Where is it? Inspector General for Ukraine aid accountability. So we won one. We didn't win a whole bunch. We won one thing, and that was kind of interesting. And they're saying that they could hear Lewis on Zoom, but I can't hear Lewis. Isn't that interesting? Lewis, try talking.
Hello, test, 1, 2, 3, test.
I'm not hearing Lewis at all. I've got everything cranked up here. You guys in chat, if you can hear Lewis talking, let me know, because it may be an issue somewhere.
Test, 1, 2, 3, test.
Oh, Lewis was there, then he's not there.
I'm here. Test. Hello.
Yeah,
everybody.
they're all saying 5 by 5. They can hear you, and I can't hear you. That's really weird. Okay. Well, this will be an interesting presentation. If I can't hear Lewis, but he could. I'm trying to see if there's anything on this side, but I don't see anything offhand. If I turn that up, we're going to get an echo. Well, Lewis, fill us in on the drive.
The drive, well, I pulled over to try to get this thing working. God knows where we are in the middle of the desert. But drive is the drive. So we're heading to the America Fest. We have a lot going on there. at the America Fest. I mean, one thing is to hopefully meet some people and coordinate with some people. We're going to work on progressing in so I know we have a few meetings in regards to that, which is very, very important. We are going to, well, I personally, I believe there's controlled opposition and some infiltrators there, so I'm going to keep my eye out for that. I do like that they're going more in the truth movement on these and less mainstream, because although they infuse mainstream in there, I think that's very, very important, so they can catch up to the narrative. Then we have two other very important things that we're going to do while in Arizona. Neither of them I can really talk about at the moment, but we will update you when the time comes, and the audience. One is extraordinarily important for everybody to know. So hopefully I can get that released next week.
Good. I can hear you again, so that's cool. I'm just hoping we're not getting an echo, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off of video so I can drive,
Yep.
and then we can still talk.
Oh, excellent. Of course, we like to see Lewis's face in all of this. All right. Lewis, you have a lot to say on the FISA program and the reauthorization of that, because that was what came through today. It's kind of annoying that they reauthorized it, and we know how much it's being abused, especially for the January 6 people.
Right. So it's sad because FISA and virtually every other device they have, or mechanism, I should say, let's say, i.e. the Patriot Act, is it's nothing to do with taking care of we the people. This corruption is all a target against we the people.
Correct.
And the construct that we're under currently, and this is what I want to pragmatically explain this, so people can just have conversations with what we call normies, right? Where our government as we know it looks at us as the enemy. We are the enemy of the state, we the people. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're a Marxist or a right-wing deplorable. It does not matter. All people that are not part of pushing their agenda forward are an enemy of the state. And it's through all mechanisms that are large. Ergo, that's why Screw Big Gov came to fruition years ago, as in screw being governed, because you're being governed not just by what you think the government is. You're being governed by large corporations, the Fortune 1000 corporations, as Mike Gill and I have talked about. You're being governed by pharmaceutical companies. You're being governed by education companies. You're being governed by agricultural and food companies, and so on and so forth. Your local municipalities are governing you. Your police departments are governing you. And until we recognize this evil for what it is, we won't push through it. As long as we keep accepting this construct, as I call it, we're not going to win. Now, when we the people, and we're doing a good job lately, by the way, so I don't want to jump away from that. When we the people collectively start gathering together, and they will lose.
It's very true, and you see it. There's so many examples of it. If we take just a few minutes to look at them, right? Anytime we push back, it's like they back down. They back down pretty quickly, which is always surprising to me how quickly they back off when we stand up. They're really afraid of us. They really are. And this is why they're playing all these backhanded games to keep us in fear and keep us down and keep us from rising up.
Yep. That's all. That's all it is about, and it's all about fear. So fear is multifaceted. So fear freezes people, which is very, very important to the deep state.
Right.
Right. Fear gets people to do something that they might not normally do, and those are the people that are openly supporting the deep state. Great example. You were a pariah if you didn't wear a mask and you didn't get vaccinated. That's because of the fear mongering of the deep state. And then, but ultimately, what fear does for the deep state is it feeds them. The more people are in fear, the more power that they hold, because they are a huge conglomerate of sociopathic narcissists. So when they see we the people in fear, it builds them up emotionally. How disgusting is that? Because they know, they go, oh, look at what we did. And it's all about what they did. Trust me. It's all about what they are doing to us. I guarantee you, when they do things like, hey, let's make it so people have to wear masks all the time, but when they sit down, hey, and they're in their boardrooms laughing at you.
Yep,
they are laughing
literally
at you, and we're literally laughing at you. But this is what feeds their ego. It's disgusting. And we have to slowly, and I implore you, do not truth barf on your friends and family members and the strangers. It may have worked for you a couple of times, but it doesn't generally work. Sometimes they'll go away for years before they come back.
Yep.
You can slowly acclimate them just to little truths that are so obvious right now. In fact, I was just talking to somebody 2 days ago, and I said, don't believe me. Why don't you just go follow Elon Musk? That's all I said. And it's not that I believe Elon Musk is a good guy. All I know is he's doing disclosures right now, which are very important.
Yeah, we don't know what side he's on. I mean, truthfully, it's like he was on the other side, or maybe he was just more apolitical, I guess is the way I would look at it. And now he seems to be jumping in, and he's jumping in the right direction. He's jumping in the direction of free speech, which is, really what we stand for. So he's on our side for now. I don't know if he'll stay there, but he's there for now.
So, okay, let's put the flat earth conversation to the side. So that's not what this is about. But I don't think he's a good guy, or wasn't, when all his resources that he was talking about were doing are three things. One is space exploration, which is ridiculous. Even if we're on a globe, it doesn't matter, or flat earth. Space exploration in the air is ridiculous when there's 90% of the oceans that are completely unexplored. And exploring past Antarctica is completely unexplored. So that, to me, is an interesting diversion in itself, right? And I'm not a flat earther. I'm just saying that alone. And then you take all the money that is put into and pushing electric vehicles, where we know are 10 times worse for the environment than a combustion engine. And then you go to the resources. So that's why I believe there's an Elon 2.0, because that Elon 1, I don't know how they would have flipped him. None of that stuff is congruent with what we're doing today.
Right.
Assuming it's the same guy, somebody had to talk with them, I think, because Twitter is an amazing, or X, sorry, it's an amazing resource currently. It's a battleground. It's a battleground for us that we're winning right now.
Yeah. We chased a lot of the other people off, and they won't be there anymore because they don't like the messaging. They don't like what's being shared. They'd rather be us all be censored, but that's not happening.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So the DC case is on hold. Trump's case. Chuck Tan pauses the DC case among dispute over the immunity argument. Is Trump immune as president? Is he immune from prosecution? Well, you would assume so. That's what we've known for since the beginning of this country, right?
That's the way the laws are written.
So that could be the end of that particular case. The federal judge overseeing the election has agreed to temporarily pause proceedings while Trump appeals a decision over whether he's entitled to broad immunity from criminal prosecution. We've never criminally prosecuted the president. Never happened. And he's the first one to be indicted. What, 3 times, 4 times? I lost count how many times he's been indicted, the poor guy. You know? In a brief order Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan largely granted Trump's request to halt the proceedings while he pursues his appeal. Chutkan said Trump's appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia means she must automatically stay further proceedings. So she didn't do this on her own. She did this because it's the law. She doesn't have a choice now.
Yeah, who knows who's good or bad? And it seems like there's very few good judges anymore. But assuming she's indifferent, she has to follow the law, and that's all she did, in my opinion. The law's been clear as a bell. We've been telling people this forever. President Trump's team has been telling people this forever. But isn't it interesting, though? Because what's fun about this is if he is considered immune to prosecution for this, we know the vice president is not immune to that. And that's what Biden was when he stole the documents and put them in his garage.
No, also Senate. He was both in the Senate and VP, so he stole documents way back in the 70s.
Right. Yeah. So this is going to be fun because what they're going to do is they if it works the way it's supposed to, it takes Trump off the table. So that distraction is gone. And then the full force of what is supposed to be the judicial system and legislature will be against Biden.
Yep.
We know how that's all manipulated. You can see in the vote today how it was manipulated straight down party lines. Which is, did you also notice that there were no votes on the
no Republican no votes? Yeah, it was 100%. Yeah, which you never see with the Republicans. You never see all of them on the same page.
Yeah, so something's fishy with all this. I think it really only comes down to one thing: is getting the information out there. And again, how many times am I screaming? Got to get it on record. Got to get it on record. It's all going to have to go on record.
Yep.
Because now, let's jump forward in this. Let's assume we win this war, which I believe we will. How are we going to win this war? Is you're going to have to flip the normies, right? So, a lot of the normies consider themselves elite intellectuals. They've been brought up through the 4, 6 years, 8 years, college school system, university programs. They're doctors and they're engineers and accountants and so on and so forth. The only way that these people are going to be convinced, because they're hyper analytical, is if we put it on record now, because you have to build a case for all of this stuff. This is what we did in Maricopa County. You have to build a case. You can't just go out and say, this sucks and this is what we just think it's wrong and you guys are ridiculous, because we know that. But you have to slowly build a case, because eventually we're going to have to flip the normies over or we're going to have civil war.
Yep.
So in my opinion, it's very, very important to get everything on record so it adds up when it's time for them to review this with a critical eye. It will be undisputable, all the evidence against the deep state. I believe that's is part and parcel of what's going on here, and then getting that out in the public, because you're going to start seeing a bunch of known Democrats or liberals come out publicly on Twitter or on some local news programs, and they're going to say this is reprehensible, and they're going to be completely off the Biden bandwagon. You watch. That's what I believe is going to happen next. Is that a prediction? It was. I didn't give a date, though.
No date, but you got to give a prediction. If you look at 2020, and if you talk to the average normie, and you say, why don't you believe 2020 wasn't stolen? Their answer is always because 50 plus court cases were thrown out. Always. Trump lost every court case. He never went to court. Right? So what you're saying here is that now that we'll have some court cases, we'll have some stuff on the record, we will have the argument that will destroy their argument saying we haven't won any cases, because this stuff will be on record.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, because what I'm doing is not working. When somebody tells me, well, there's been over 50 court cases and Trump lost them all, I say, well, that's about as indicative of corruption if you've ever seen it. And I say, do you really think that if the elections are and there's that deep, dark conspiracy, you don't think they would have bought the judges either? And people are like, they don't know what to say.
Bridge too far, too far. Yep, exactly.
It's like, oh, are you crazy? They don't even believe the elections are still.
What's the matter with you, Lewis? Where do you come up with these conspiracy theories?
It's just, I know. I only wear my tinfoil hat when I drive across the desert. But anyways, it is very important to get it on record and get some of these decisions. And Trump's having a lot of wins lately, and I see some momentum going in that direction. So very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it gets used. That's really more what I'm focused on. It's like, okay, great, we've got all this stuff. Discovery's coming up. It's showing up in mainstream media more and more and more and more. People are talking about it. Well, now how do we use that hammer? We're starting to be given a toolbox, and they're starting to fill it for us. How are we going to use it? What are we going to build with it as we go forward? Right?
Yeah.
Tools are here. Okay. There was a poll that was done by Rasmussen talking about Americans being suspicious of mail-in ballots. Here's a very short video clip, but we'll talk about it.
A new Heartland Rasmussen poll finds that 17% people admit they voted in a state where they don't live. 21% admitted they filled out someone else's ballot. And 8% admitted they were offered money to vote.
8% offered money to vote. 21%. And then you have other ones. Was 17% of the voters admitted voting in a state where they don't even live, because you had mail forwarding, right? So the post office forwards your mail after you move for a period of a year. But it's interesting in the poll that they would admit this. Why would they admit this kind of thing? This is crazy.
Well, it's interesting. Fox News was watching our program because we laid all this out yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Without the graphics that they have.
Yep.
So I'm actually shocked that it's on Fox News.
Yeah, because they were on the other side. They were the ones who called Arizona in 2020 after 3% of the vote was in. It's like Biden won. Wait a minute, you haven't counted any ballots yet.
It's interesting because there's really four or five major battlefields right now. One is the J6 battlefield, right? That's clearly one. One is the election battlefield. The other one is the pandemic battlefield and the border battlefield. Those are pretty much the four big battlefields right now. And most of the mainstream media avoids those, or they've picked the side of evil. So it's interesting, but we did say that Fox would probably end up flipping first, but I don't think they're there yet. I wouldn't be all in on Fox yet, but I am very happy to see that.
Yeah. Well, again, Jesse Waters, right? So he's the new Tucker Carlson, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He is. But how much leash are they going to give him? I didn't think they would give him as much leash as they gave Tucker. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, he's using whatever they're giving him. Obviously, that's kind of interesting to see. Nice to see it, actually. North Carolina, we spoke yesterday at the border. We talked to Jonathan about how much fentanyl was coming up and what they might do with the fentanyl. So here's another story that there was another.
It's well over, even if you had 50% of the United States high on this stuff, it's well over what it would take to service them for years.
Wow.
So it has to be here for another. It also proves that this is not a moneymaker for the cartel, especially since I don't know if many people know this, but a lot of fentanyl is made right here in the United States. In fact, China has decided to stop importing it over here because we can make it here for cheaper than it costs to bring it on a boat.
Wow.
Think about that. So the United States, when people here are producing fentanyl at massive rates, we don't even need, or doesn't even need to. This is why because they can be either they pay you for transporting them, or you use the human over and over and over. It's really disgusting. But my point being here is we have to really think now, honestly, what's the fentanyl going to be used for? If anybody wants to come up with solutions, that's fantastic. But I believe Jonathan nailed it. This can be a mass attack on the we the people, and it's something that we need to be really, really aware of and thoughtful of. We're importing tremendous amount of people over the border that aren't even from Mexico, not even from South America, from other countries also. And they're all middle-aged fighting men. Now, just going to throw it out there. Are they just paid, or are they activated when they need to?
You're cutting up a little bit, Lewis, but I understood. Are they paid, or are they MK Ultra? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or both.
Or both, yeah. Yeah, it was daunting to hear Jonathan talk about that yesterday and what they could do. Aerial spraying this stuff, or putting it in the water supply, or put it in our food supply. It's just like crazy possibilities. And you got to ask the question too, which is I do, is like, okay, so they seized this stuff. Where did it go? Did they destroy it? Did they put it in a warehouse somewhere? Where is it?
Yeah, it's sad. I've heard several reports that it doesn't get destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that's every police department, because there may be a good one out there, but I've heard several reports that this doesn't get destroyed, or it just disappears from evidence rooms.
Shit, you can absorb it through the skin.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, so I'm gonna repeat Jonathan's story from yesterday because it's important. He said in Laughlin, Nevada, there was a guy that was on fentanyl and he was sweating because he was so high on a slot machine, and an elderly lady followed up on the same slot machine and she overdosed off of the sweat she came in contact with on the slot machine. If that doesn't tell people how dangerous this stuff is, I don't know what does.
Well, yeah, we've seen the videos too of the security officers, police officers coming across it, opening up the trunk and being overcome by it.
That's right.
It's just, yeah.
So it's and anybody that's paid attention to this program knows we don't do fear porn. So don't give me a comment about fear porn. Don't give me a chat about fear porn. I don't want to hear that BS. Because we're just stating what facts are, and to pay attention, and we try to bring a very high vibe in through our program to keep people motivated, but we also have to show you the truth. Yeah. The truth is what the truth is. So it's something I think everybody needs to be aware of, so at least we can pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And like they say, keep your head on a swivel. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, at this point, and the truth sometimes is ugly, but it's better to have it than not have it. I'd rather be informed, armed with the information, than be naive in times like these.
We wouldn't have 1 million people fighting against it right now.
Yeah. Really true. Really true. All right, I'm going to take a Neumi break, and then we are going to get back with some more stories and some fun stuff that we're going to share. If you guys haven't heard us talk about NutraSwish, well, It might be the first time you hear about it. This is a great product. This is a glutathione product that's really good for helping your liver to do detoxification, helps with oxidative stress. We're all under that. Things we eat, things we breathe, things we drink can be really challenging for our liver to clean up. The liver's there to clean up the mess, right? And this is kind of the fuel for the liver that helps with that, and helps break it down so it can get out of your system. So what they did with glutathione, because there are a lot of supplements on the market, you can get glutathione a lot of different ways, but the supplements get destroyed in the digestive tract, so that you don't get as much of it as you should be getting. This is a different kind of product. This is sublingual, so it's nanoparticleized. You put it in your mouth, swish it around for a couple of minutes, swallow the rest. Most of it gets absorbed under the tongue, gets right into your bloodstream, and gets put to use right away. It'll help you with things like you want to increase your energy, you want to sleep a little bit better, you want to recover quicker after strenuous exercise, shoveling snow, raking leaves, playing with the kids, that kind of thing. It'll help you with that as well. I really love it. I use it for me 3 times a day, and you'll see Lewis's hair is darkened and Bruce is growing more hair back. It's kind of interesting to see some of the side effects, the positive side effects of this product. They also have one for women. It's called Neumi Herms, and of course this is an unopened bottle because it's not for the men, it's for the ladies, and it will certainly help them with bloating and that time of the month, and cramps and moodiness, and helps with energy as well, and helps with bloating and those kind of symptoms that are a little less pleasant. So you take a look. They have a good special on right now. You can go over to renegademedia.tv/energy, renegademedia.tv/energy, and you will find out more information about that and take advantage of the special they got going on for December. 1 NutraSwish, 1 NutraSkin, 2 Neumi Hers. So one of the Neumi Hers is actually free. You get one free. So great little package they've got going on there. All right. Still with us, Lewis?
Si, senor.
Si, senor. The IDF, the Israel Defense Force, has a new strategy in Gaza. They brought in industrial-sized pumps, and they're pumping water from the Mediterranean into tunnels as a way of flushing out the enemy. Okay, I didn't mean to make that pun. Yeah, I did. Israel's military has begun pumping seawater into Hamas's vast complex of tunnels in Gaza. The Wall Street Journal reported flooding the tunnels, which would likely be a weeks-long process, began around the time Israel added 2 more pumps to the 5 pumps installed last month and conducted some initial tests, according to U.S. officials. The Wall Street Journal quoted U.S. officials as saying Israel has installed 7 industrial pumps and began the process when it added the last 2 pumps. We just heard that. The process is expected to last for weeks. We're not sure how successful pumping will be since no one knows the details of the tunnels and the ground around them. A source told the Wall Street Journal, it's impossible to know if it'll be effective because we don't know how seawater will drain in the tunnels that no one has been in before. What do you think about that strategy, Lewis?
Well, I've not been a big fan of the IDF, but I actually agree with this strategy. I think this is something we've talked about a lot under the deep underground military bases that may be filled with bad guys. My only challenge is this, and this is where I think deep state government of Israel, let me be very clear about that, the top guys, they don't care if there's a bunch of children down there that are being hidden or held hostage or anything like that.
He's trying to speak. Lewis, I'm getting I'm getting a little zap of audio here and there, but I can't hear you. The joy of Zoom on the road. All right, we'll jump into the next story, and then Lewis comes back. We can revisit his comments because I know he's always loving to share. So, guys, you remember the egg problem that we had last I guess it was around this time last year, wasn't it? So eggflation is returning as a top producer is hit with bird flu in Kansas. America's top eggs producer and distributor, on Tuesday revealed that its egg-laying hens at a mega industrial farm in Kansas had been infected with the highly pathogenic avian influenza. This is bad news, as egg prices will likely rebound after crashing from record highs earlier this year. On Tuesday, Cal-Maine Foods wrote in a press release that, I can't believe these numbers, 684,000 laying hens, or approximately 1.6% of its flock, that's a lot of chickens, have been affected by bird flu. The production facility is located in Kansas and has temporarily ceased operations to follow safety protocols instructed by the USDA. Bloomberg noted that Cal-Maine escaped bird flu cases. Stock up on eggs, I guess, is the plan, because, it's going to get challenging to find eggs in the store again. It's crazy. We went through this last year. We saw it. And now it's coming back. According to this article anyway, going to keep an eye on it, but it's kind of interesting to see that, another bird flu is out there, and they don't have a cure. It doesn't work. Didn't help. So what can I tell you? All right. I'm going to share a video with you that is really, I don't know, it makes me a little uneasy. Makes me wonder if Lewis and I are still going to be needed going forward, because they're going to be able to replace news anchors with AI. Now, I want to play this video, and here what I want you to do. I want you to see if you can tell which ones are AI and which ones are real. Okay, we're ready to play the game? The audio isn't as loud as I'd like it to be. It's a little bit low. It really doesn't matter. They're not saying anything important. It's just kind of an example, a demo video. So I'll play the video for you, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to see which ones possible. Okay, so what did you think? I see a lot of you in the chat room there saying, "Hey, I guess this one is AI. This one's not AI." Are you ready for the answer? The big reveal is that every single one of them, Master Baggy got it right, every one of them is AI generated. There's not one in there that was real. So what they did is they went and they scanned the anchors, right? They took a scan of their physical face, their body, all of that, and the whole thing's generated with AI, including the French guy was real, by the way. The only one that was real. It wasn't an anchor, but it was the guy that was reporting about his house being blown away by a tornado. If you noticed, the AI translated his words into English, mimicked the tone of his voice, and also changed his lips to match. This guy's looking at this and going, "Hey, I don't speak English. How in the world did that happen?" Right? So Channel 1, which is in Los Angeles, set to launch next year, plans to use digitally generated people and digital doubles of real actors who had their bodies scanned. Demonstration videos show the anchors that look, talk, and move like real humans, but were designed on computers using artificial intelligence. Denise says, "No way it's going to happen. Lewis and I are not going to be replaced." Thank you, Denise. We love you. The outlet's founder told DailyMail.com that misuse of AI-generated news is inevitable. No, really? They're going to misuse this? Of course they are. But Channel 1 aims to get out in front and create responsible use of the technology. For more important stories, actual human anchors will report from the scene, founder Adam Mossam told the Daily Mail. Los Angeles-based Channel 1 will launch on a free ad-supported streaming TV apps like Crackle, Tubi, and Pluto in February or March, with Channel 1 app to come later in the summer. Okay, do you want to get your news from an AI, or do you want to get it from a real human being? I get the fact that this might be useful, that the reporter or the anchor is not available. They charge a lot of money, right? A lot of the anchors make a ton of money. I get that part. But it's just not the same when you're not dealing with a human being. It's really hard to tell. Those videos are pretty good. Of course, these are demo videos. Who knows if in practicality it will look as good as it looks in the demo video. But the demo video is quite convincing. Hard to tell that is all computer generated, because they scan the real people. And they're just using that data to have them step out in front of the camera. I think it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating. It's just the world we live in, I guess, is what we have to look at here. All right, Oslo. We go to Oslo, Norway next, and this is a fun story too. What they didn't realize after getting all their buses to be electrified is that electric and batteries don't work too well when they get cold. The city of Oslo, Norway took delivery of 183 new electric buses last April when it was warm, with the aim of becoming emissions free, but instead the city has become mobility free. I love this from this article. What looked good on paper didn't work out well in reality. The range of the electric buses decreases drastically in the cold. You have no idea how much it decreases. Batteries run out more quickly. With the onset of winter, the weaknesses of the electric vehicles are becoming apparent. Although a range of 250 kilometers is actually advertised, the buses sometimes simply break down. They run out of gas. They run out of juice. And if you have a Tesla in the winter, a lot of the battery power is used to keep the battery warm. That's useful. Your range goes way, way, way down, especially when they get cold. So, yeah, back to electric vehicles again. One more electric vehicles. Come on, we need some more of those, right? That's going to be a lot of fun. All right. I want to leave the last story here. This is kind of interesting. There's a movie coming out, and it's going to be released tomorrow. I don't like to go too far in the future talking about movies. There's a movie, that documentary, that's going to be released tomorrow, and it's called Let My People Go. And the synopsis here, Let My People Go is a modern-day deliverance story that presents two which are imprisoned today. I would say who are imprisoned today. The film will be released this Friday, December 15th, and will be made available via streaming and DVD and Blu-ray at letmypeoplega.movie. The buzz so far is overwhelmingly positive, and I read some reports of people who actually seen a pre-screen of the movie, and they thought it was really, really, really well done. So what you'll start to see in here is, well, and that led to January 6th, and sort of the two stories that are kind of competing there. So I want to play the trailer for you. I think it's really well worth watching. It's a little over 3 minutes, and I'll